When you eat may be as important as what you're eating.
That is the finding of a new Spanish study. Joining us live this afternoon, our registered dietitian, Lori Meyer. All right, break this study down for us. What's it mean?
Okay, it was done in Spain, but it was done by a lot of American researchers, Tufts, Harvard, Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, along with a university in Spain. They took 420 overweight and obese Spaniards. They divided them into two groups. The first group ate lunch early by Spanish standards. It was before 3 o'clock. And the second group ate lunch late, after 3 o'clock. And they followed them for 20 weeks. And what they found was that the people in the early group, before 3 o'clock, early lunch eaters lost about 25% more weight than the late lunch eaters. What they also found is that the late lunch eaters lost weight much more slowly. So what we're looking at now is a 25% more weight loss if you eat lunch earlier rather than later.
So how does that relate to Americans? Because the way they
Their
eat
schedule.
in Spain is different.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And so a lot of people at first, glance, you look at the study and think, well, those are Spaniards. But what the researchers really found was that it was the timing of the largest meal of the day seemed to be the most significant factor in weight loss. They looked at the other meals, the smaller meals, and the time that they ate those didn't matter as much. And so I think as Americans, what we can really get out of this is looking at when we're eating our largest meal. And we tend to eat our largest meal at dinner time, after work. And so I think the takeaway would be, looking at that meal, this is probably going to have a much more significance on our weight loss ability than even looking at breakfast and lunch. However, they also found that these late lunch eaters also tended to skip breakfast, or they ate a very light breakfast, and so they're, that all might be along, in the study as well.
I mean, their breakfast is going to be a cup of coffee and maybe some bread and some cheese or something in the morning. That's it.
Could be. Although some of them did have larger breakfasts, and they did find that those who had a larger breakfast tended to eat lunch a little bit earlier, and they lost more weight, which isn't unlike some of the research that we have seen in our country. People who skip breakfast tend to eat more later in the day. So, this might all be biologically how our metabolism works. So I look at this for people who are struggling with their weight. In addition to how much you're eating or what you're eating, you may want to look at the time. You might want to kind of spread those calories out throughout the day. Don't just eat one big meal a day, and especially at the end of the day. And then above all, don't go to bed right after you eat that big meal, because that's going to be the worst.
Lori,
breakfast like a king, dinner like a pauper.
Absolutely.
Got a question for our experts? Email them. Ask the expert, today's TMJ4.com. You can also leave a voicemail. That number is on your screen.